Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing all right. Hope you're ready for this one. We're back with the rumor mill. I hope you're all doing fantastically well, everybody. Leeds United with another step closer to the window ending, and we're back here with another rumor mill. It's getting to the end of the sort of campaign now with Leeds, and we've got to see what's going to materialize towards the end of the window. Something might, something probably won't, but we'll get to it in this video. I've got a lot to talk about. We're back tonight with the debrief as well, which is going to be very interesting. So make sure you stick around for that one. We'll be speaking about the Newcastle game. We'll be speaking about expectations. We'll be speaking about this window, if we're happy with it, if we're not happy with it. And I'm sure there'll be some juicy topics. So hello to everybody who is in the building on this lovely morning. It's 10 to 9 in the morning. What on earth is going on with Leeds United at the minute? And what on earth is going on with your morning? What you up to? Have you got a coffee? You got a tea? You got a wine? You got a beer? What's going on? Morning, Ian. Morning, David. Hope you're all good. Lewis in the building. I think it's becoming more and more clear that the 49ers takeover is gearing for the summer, and all efforts are focused on that. Recruitment has taken a back seat. Yeah, we're going to get onto recruitment in a little bit. Morning, Rich. Morning, Brett. Okay. Martin, just been watching the Square Ball podcast and honestly feel a lot better about what seemed like a complete breakdown on Saturday. That's football, mate, isn't it? It's opinions. Opinions differ in football, and we'll get on to what I think. But that's the beauty of football. There are so many Leeds United spheres out there that you can get involved in if you want to see different opinions. So listen, what's gone on this morning? Well, we understand that Crysencio Somerville is looking to move to Hamburg for 1.3 million, which is incidentally exactly how much Leeds United paid for him from Feyenoord. So it's looking like the winger is going to be leaving, apparently, according to several sources, especially a source in Germany, Sport Bild, that the winger is going to be leaving, and it looks like it's progressing nicely. So apparently fast and quick is what I've read in quotation marks. So yeah, a real bizarre one for me, a real bizarre one. And we've seen it with Drame now, haven't we? We've seen it with Somerville, that they feel that they can play first team football. They've experienced it. Their agents are clearly in their ear and saying to them, look, we can move on here. We can get you some first team football. There's clearly some miscommunication here at Leeds in terms of where you are, where your development is. The squad depth is nowhere near it, and you're still not getting a regular run of games. So you've experienced the first sort of team in the Premier League. You know, what do you think you can do at Hamburg in Germany in the second division? Do you think you could play regularly? Yeah, I do. All right, let's try get a move out there then. Drame clearly felt the same. I don't think I was as upset by it as a lot of people in terms of expecting it. And yeah, it's as I say, it's a mixed bag. And I think at the minute there's a real frustration when it comes to the transfer window and the 23s. There is clearly a little bit of frustration there as well. And despite sort of injury and squad size, these players aren't getting the minutes that they maybe potentially were promised. You know, the squad depth is extremely unique at Leeds United in terms of the 20-man squad that Bielsa loves to work with. And with the squad being absolutely decimated at the minute, I think these under-23s would expect to be featuring. That's probably what they were told when they signed for Leeds United. Obviously, Drame coming from Fulham, Somerville coming from Feyenoord. You know, whenever there's a crisis or whenever we need you, which at the minute you would argue they do, they're not featuring. And maybe, you know, as I've said at the start, their agents are in the rear and saying to them, look, we can get you first team football elsewhere. Your profile is now high. You've had Premier League minutes. You've played Premier League football. There are going to be a lot of clubs who will look at that and think, okay, if he's played Premier League football, maybe we can take a chance on him, especially a team in the Bundesliga too, as we were speaking about with Crysencio Somerville. So I think that a lot of the rebuttal is no other Premier League team does it, and it's got us to where we are now in terms of the under-23s. And whilst I understand that, and it was a completely different level in the Championship, and we've got to understand that you know the under-23 development was incredible, and you know they thrived. But in that team, you had Charlie Cresswell, you had Somerville, obviously you had Drame, you had Joe Gelhardt, you had Greenwood, you had I think I mentioned Cresswell. But you had an abundance of players who were within that 23 setup, and they were the core in that setup. They never really left all season to come to the first team. And obviously that was developed in the first season in the Premier League, where Leeds really didn't bed that many under 23s in. We were lucky with injuries, let's be right. Last season we were extremely lucky. The core of Leeds' squad was kept in state, really. You look at the latter part of the season with Rafinha, obviously Phillips was there for the majority of it, and Patrick Bamford had had an injury-free season, really, when you look at the level of it. But other teams simply have more depth, and that's why you get under 23s having more opportunities at Leeds United, because no other team acts like we do in terms of the squad depth, and that is by Bielsa's design. And I think there's a lot of people confused at the minute because of Angus Kinnear's comments, which don't really add up. And I think that's my frustration as well, because you've arguably got Crysencio Somerville there, who has been spoken about for Leeds. Let's be right, everybody, for a couple of years now. And then we go out and sign Dan James for 25 million, which I wasn't wholeheartedly against, but it just goes against Angus Kinnear's comments of we won't bring players in to block the under 23s, because then how far do you go? How far is this yardstick? How far are we measuring this now? Because Dan James coming in for 25 million is naturally going to block the development of Crysencio Somerville, who was being spoken about as one of the next big sort of projects through the 23s. Speaking about Crysencio Somerville, Charlie Cresswell, Cody Drame, and Joe Gelhardt. They were probably the four. Two of them are looking like they've just gone permanently now, if obviously Crysencio Somerville does leave. So I think the 23s are vital, and we see that now. They're absolutely vital and needs his development and keeping a squad worthy of competing. I don't agree with it. I don't think it should be like that. But I think the whole rhetoric with someone like Cody Drame and someone like Crysencio Somerville is, well, if I'm not playing when they're down to the bare bones, if I'm not playing when their squad is that thin that the fans are begging for just recruitment and players to come in just so we can survive, then if I'm not getting in that team, I'm not going to have a chance next year when they potentially bring other players in. I'm not going to have a chance towards the back end of the season when players come back from injury. So I just think there's a bit of a lack of clarity in exactly what the club are doing. A player's not going to come in the summer because we don't want to block Joe Gelhardt's progression. A player's not going to come in the summer because we don't want to block Lewis Bates' progression. I would argue no. I think Leeds will recruit in those positions. So then the message is completely mixed, and that's what I'm just a little bit confused at the minute. And it's interesting with players like Cody Drame. It's interesting with players like Crysencio Somerville, because our other youngsters going to be looking at them and thinking, okay, that's interesting. Because we all thought that Cody Drame was going to be quite a unique situation in terms of him forcing a move, really. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. I've said that on a video before. I can't stand just drawing conclusions when it comes to youngsters and their situation. But if he did want to go, if the agent was in his ear and saying, look, Crysencio, look, Cody, you can get more minutes, more game time, then that's fair enough in my opinion. But will others start to look at that? Are you going to start getting Lewis Bates looking at that scenario? You're going to start getting players within that development, Leo Yelder potentially, if this carries on with him. I think we're all sort of in agreement that he should have featured at the game at the weekend after his brilliant performances. So our youngsters going to be looking at that. And I'm not saying that's right, because they're getting exposed to first team football. They're getting that opportunity, which they would never, ever get at other clubs. But is there then a knock-on effect of that? Yeah, I can play in the Premier League. This level's okay for me. I think I could get a move somewhere else. Are the agents going to be in the players' ear? Are they going to be looking at the other players' scenario? Because a lot of them have similar agents as well. They have the same agents, a lot of them. So that's definitely something to take into account. And there's also the look at the under 23s, the look at the under 18s. They're getting hammered at the minute, badly. The other night, if you don't quite understand what is happening with the under 23s, what is going on at the minute, is Leeds' bench comprises of pretty much the entire nucleus of the 23s at the minute, which is great. It's a small squad, so we are very intertwined with the 23s, which has always been the selling point of Leeds United and why we've been able to recruit a lot of youngsters. But at the same time, there are a lot of problems to do with that. The 23 setup is then, in effect, battered by the fact that we're bringing all these 23s in because Bielsa has a small squad policy, meaning that the under 23s development going forward is hurt. It's hindered. The money that they get from finishing in a certain position in the the upper leagues is affected. Obviously, the interest in the under 23s as well is diminished based on what position they finish. If they go down this year, obviously they're not going to be able to attract a certain type of player. They've just lost 4-0 to Blackburn, who were second bottom, and they were just completely battered. They were outplayed. And that's not their fault. It's the fact that they have no team. They're having to recruit from the under 18s and lower. You look at Archie Gray's been part of our setup. 15. So yeah, the under 18s haven't won in 6 games. The under 23s are now 13th out of a 15 league, 15-16 league, I believe it is. And they've just been battered by second bottom 4-0. So they're clearly being affected by it. They really are. And there is loads of people talking about the Radrizzani and Orta and the 49ers being at fault for this. And we have to come out on this channel and be transparent. That's what I always am. That's why I think I've got 18,000 of you lot who are joining One Leeds and sort of, like to have your opinions in the section below. You might agree, you might disagree. But for me, there's one man who wants a small squad. And that's the nooks and crannies of it. We know before that Victor Orta is, you saw that from the Amazon documentary. He is more than happy to go, to scout, to invest. You saw sort of the frustrations with Radrizzani as well. He wanted, in the Amazon documentary as well, we saw it firsthand, more players. And we're speculating here, but Bielsa is the one who wants a small squad. We have to take that into consideration, and that is something that's going to be with us going forward. Whether or not that's good, whether or not that's bad, you all have your own opinions. But Bielsa likes certain players. We were linked with Noah Lang. Noah Lang was flirting with us. Let's be right. He was twerking for us in the window. This is Noah Lang, who is an unbelievable footballer, a winger. Had high praise from everywhere in Europe. Club Bruges, they were willing to cash in on him, and the Leeds looked to be in pole position there, and we didn't. We let that one go. He then later on had a man of the match performance against Manchester City. He's done very, very well this season. Just looked like a brilliant player, a creative player, someone who we could have brought in and really could have taken the mantle. We didn't do that, and we went for Dan James, and that's what I'm reverting to in terms of certain players who fit the press, which I understand, but it's almost like you're getting runarounds at points. And I like Dan James, I do, because I think as I've just said, he fits the system, and I believe in the Bielsa way, contrary to what a lot of you seem to think. But he fits the certain player mold. He's able to play multiple positions, as we've seen. He's played most this season as striker, which is baffling to me, but he's able to play there. Would Noah Lang come in and do that without kicking up a fuss? Probably not, but that's not an ego for me. That's just him not wanting to play there, him loving being a winger, and his entire career being as a winger. Dan James will be willing to come in, play anywhere, but the argument would be that you get a whole host more of assists from Noah Lang, which is proven, and a whole host more goals and products in the final third. But the system pays dividends. That's more important to Bielsa. So only certain players fit this system. And I do wonder what Victor Orta is thinking here regarding Bielsa. And this is why it's an interesting conversation, isn't it, with regards to him? Because we're talking about his development in terms of Marcelo Bielsa and Victor Orta. But I wonder how Victor Orta feels in these months, because this is where he's judged, isn't it? Everybody's judging Orta, everybody's judging Radrizzani. But I feel there's not as much judgment on Marcelo Bielsa. Marcelo Bielsa is the one who wants a small squad. Marcelo Bielsa is the one who wants to integrate the 23s as closely as he can with the first team. I'm not sure. There's a lot of people saying Bielsa is crying out for players, and you hear it in his press conference. I'm not sure I agree with that. I think Bielsa enjoys this. He enjoys the thrill of of, being able to do something that not many other, well, no other team does or no other manager does. And you got to respect that in a sense. You have got to respect that because it's completely unique. But I would wonder what is in Victor Orta's head. Um, I wonder what is in his head about in months like this. Whether or not he thinks to himself, I just wish Marcelo would have more players. I wish he would have him because, from what we've read and what we've heard before, he goes to him with a big list and says, look, which one do you want? And Bielsa, he could reject 10. He could reject 8 of them. He could reject all of them. And that's where the meticulousness of the boss is brilliant. But I do also think it hammers us a little bit. And we can listen. We'll discuss some of your comments in the section below. I also want to get this out there, everybody. This isn't me hammering Bielsa. This is just a discussion point of what I think should happen and what I think should happen in terms of Leeds' recruitment and what is going on at the minute. Because I do think a lot of it is a little bit of unfair bashing at Victor Orta's door. I do feel that. I think Victor Orta has a difficult job at the minute with the restrictions put on him. And we're also at the minute with Angus Kinnear getting told that not Angus Kinnear, sorry, but Radrizzani, has said, and this is where I think that it's really interesting with Radrizzani because are they planning for life without Bielsa when they're talking about us reaching top 6 and competing with top 6? Because top 6 with Marcelo Bielsa in the squad that we have and the players that we bring in naturally, which isn't a lot, is going to always be difficult. I'll say it, impossible for us to challenge the top 6 with this current policy. It's never going to happen. It's not negative. It's purely realism. It's purely realism. In what world can you justify with this policy right now, with this squad size right now, with the recruitment as we have it right now, Leeds are going to challenge the top 6? When you look at the caliber of the top 6, like Aston Villa are struggling to challenge the top 6 at the minute with the depth that they have. What on earth, how is this going to work with Leeds? That isn't being negative. That's taking back and being objective and taking my heart out of it. There's always a reference model to Leicester and Wolves. You look at what Wolves came up, they finished 7th twice, which is incredible. You look at the feat that we had when we finished 9th. That was unbelievable. Everyone thought we were going to build on that, follow the Wolves model. Now, Wolves got rid of a lot of players at that point. That bought them success. Leo Bonatini. A lot of Leeds fans will remember that if they've not just if they've not just become a Leeds fan within the last 2 years. In the Championship, Bonatini scored, I think he was 22 goals for that Wolves side. Incredible. Helder Costa was Wolves' best player in the Championship. He was unbelievable. Willy Bolly, centre-back, absolute monster, was brilliant, scored at Ellen Road. These are players who got Wolves into the top division. These are players who sustained Wolves in the top division and then were sold on, if not partway through the season. They always chipped away at the squad, Wolves did, to improve it, always. Whereas it might have been January, might have been the summer months. They brought in players like Jimenez, Pedro Neto, Leandro Dendoncker, players like that who could replace these other players, and then they supplemented them. They brought more players in over time. João Moutinho, another one who just came in. Pedence, and they chipped away at it over time. Leeds are in a position now where we have a ridiculous amount of players within this squad who have been here for 4 years. This was the window, in my opinion. And I'm just reading Dan's comment. They're loaded to be Wolves are loaded, to be fair. Whilst I agree with you, Dan, they still sold players on for high value and then recouped players with that value to bring in. It's not just a money pit at Wolves. They do sell players to bring players in as well. And it's not all about that as well. It's, bringing in players like, Max Kilman, who was brought in from the conference. It's not all about money, money, money. They're able to identify that the squad needs to evolve to get to that next level. The squad needs to evolve to challenge the top 6, which they did for 2 seasons. The squad needs to evolve to stay in the Premier League. There was a point last season where people were worried about Wolves. But Leeds are in a position now where they're in the January month and we can chip away. We can chip away at that squad. We can let players go, but we can bring players in. It doesn't have to be a lot, everybody. I spoke at the start about it being 5 players. 5 players would be a dream. Never going to happen. That video was just speculative. But we're at a point now where the older players in this system are consistently going to get more injuries. Naturally, with age, that happens. That's always going to happen with murder ball, with the intensity that Leeds play at. And we're having that throughout the season. There is a pattern throughout the season. You know, Matthias Klick's been out. Luke Aylin's been out. Liam Cooper's out. I didn't understand. My phone's having a fit. I don't understand that either. But players are out. These players aren't available for partway through the season, and they're also not able to hit those levels that they hit in the Championship. So it's a scenario now where Leeds need to chip away at the squad. You look at a proper right back. We haven't got a substitution for Luke Aylin. It's 2 central midfielders who go right back. A secondary left back to challenge Junior Firpo. We let Leif Davis go. And he's clearly surplus to requirements at Ellen Road. The entire midfield, for me, there's an argument there. Aside from, with Lewis Bate coming through, I love that. But, I mean, what's he going to be thinking at the minute? But the entire midfield, for me, needs chipping away at and needs replacing and needs, over time, we need to see an increased quality in that midfield. And these players need bedding time, everybody. They need bedding time in this system. We know that with Bielsa, it takes 6 to 8 weeks to bed in. So are we relying on one summer, which is what a lot of people seem to think 49ers are going to come in, whatever, take full control. And in the summer month, we're going to recruit and we're going to get rid of all the deadwood in one window. Not for me. It's just not going to happen. I think this window was key. And I said that in November, I said that in December in terms of just getting players, certain players leaving. You know who I think should have left in this window, and bringing certain players in. Only 1 or 2, but just a little bit. Getting rid of that. Getting rid of the sentiment which everybody harks back to. I'm not for one saying that we're going to get relegated. I'm not. But you know what the outlier is here? The amount of injuries we keep picking up. It's unique. And it's by design in terms of the amount of players that have been in this system for so long now and are breaking. That's the truth of the matter. They're breaking at the minute and it's consistent. It's a consistent problem. So I am a little bit downbeat, as I'm sure a lot of you can tell. Just based on the fact that I wanted us to do something this window, and I thought if we did something this window, we could really see. If you bring in a central midfielder, if you bring in a central attacking midfielder, there's progression there. There's a plan. I just don't think you can do everything that we need to do in one window. It's going to be completely impossible for us to do that. It's putting so much pressure on those players straight away as well. Because are we going to be able to go into a season with... I love them as players, the heroes to me for what they've done, but Liam Cooper, Matthias Klick, Luke Aylin, Bamford. I'm not saying these people should be ousted, by the way. I'm saying there needs to be competition. Now, are some of these players going to have to go to the bench so then elevated quality can come in? We've seen it with Villa, haven't we, recently? As I've just mentioned, Wolves have done it. Leicester have done it. Everybody has to do it. You have to do it. Anyway, we'll have to wait and see. But I've just been really downbeat by this January, and exactly, doing the rumor mill every single day. I'm trying to be at the forefront of every single transfer, and as you guys know, I don't just spout rubbish in terms of just relaying information to you guys off an article, but I'll try go into it and see and tell you what I think. I'm going to read out a couple of your comments now. Keep getting them in. Alan Bell says everyone blames Bielsa, small squad, wrong tactics, wrong substitutions, having favourites, but no one gets him wrong. Listen, I don't want him gone. I'll never want him gone. But I just think that at the minute there's a real crossroads in terms of Leeds' future proofing. I don't get it. I don't get, is Bielsa going to be here next year? We don't know. So then what's happening? Are we planning for Bielsa to be here? Yeah, I know we've gone after Aronson, of course, who would fit in the Bielsa system very, very nicely. But, Aronson could fit in, with whatever manager comes in. We're evidently going to go after a high pressing manager who plays a similar sort of philosophy to Bielsa next. So I don't know if Aronson is really an indication, but I just feel it's hitting its course a little bit at the minute. Triple GG, the hypocrisy of a certain section of our fan base is hilarious. Backing Bielsa and Rad through promotion. Brilliant first season back. As soon as we hit adversity, small squad, Bielsa tactics. Not really. And listen, get your opinions in. And I presume I am in that certain fan base, which you're alluding to there. I still back all of them. I'm a Leeds fan at the end of the day, and I think a lot of Leeds fans do back the cause. Of course we do. I'm questioning the future because once again, you've mentioned promotion there. How long is this going to go on for that? We're just going to keep referring back to promotion, because on that logic, it's just keeping the band together consistently, and us never having any renovation because Bielsa's got us promoted, which was amazing. The squad that was there got us promoted, which was incredible. I think a lot of fans just want to see improvement, and I think there's sort of a lot of maybe hatred spouted against fans who have an urge for Leeds to improve, because a lot of the squad that have brought us so many good times are going to have to leave for that to happen. It's not bashing Bielsa at all. It's bashing it's not even bashing. It's just understanding what's happening. I don't get the plan at the minute. I've been told by my chairman to expect top six if we stay up, or to challenge the top six. I just don't get the future proofing and what's going on, what the next step is, and with with players like Crysencio, Somerville leaving, players like Cody Drame leaving, who were players who we were looking at as this youth development, who are going to be able to come in and take Leeds, be part of this first team. With those guys leaving, it's just, I just don't really understand it, especially when the squad is this threadbare. Injuries are killing us at the minute. Doing nothing this window is a massive gamble, says James. Yeah, I do. That's what I think. I just think doing it in one window is the pressure on them. You got to think, Palace are a good example. They did it in one window, didn't they? There'll be other examples as well. There are other teams who've done it in one window. And Palace look decent at the minute. But I just can't ever see Leeds overhauling a team like that. And as well, on top of that, the adaptation period in a Bielsa side is going to be much more strenuous than that of a Patrick Vieira side. Craig Buckley says, Rads is setting up for a full sale to 49ers in the summer, clearly, so it's all about staying in the Prem, which we will. Don't expect anything in Jan, won't happen. Craig, I think you've got to expect something in Jan, mate, and that's based on the one summer month that we're going to have to pretty much overhaul the squad, because it's at the end of its cycle now. It really is. It's at the end of its cycle. You see that with injuries, you see that with performances. So I don't think it's all hunky-dory thinking that the 49ers are going to be coming in the summer and everything's going to be fine. We're going to bring in 5 or 6 players, and there's going to be 4 or 5 of our players now who are going to be leaving. I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't understand the logic behind it, mate. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. It's just an odd business plan for me. And we obviously don't know what the manager's going to be doing as well. Michael said, how can you not think we won't get relegated, especially with this Russian roulette policy? Michael, for me, it's based on injuries, mate. If Leeds are able to keep the quality that they have, the quality that they know we have, that they know that we know they have, within this side, if the rumours of Calvin Phillips coming back are true in February, I think we can stay up. I think we'll have enough. The 7-point buffer is a big one. And I think there's a certain points tally that we can get to. If Leeds are hit by more injuries and Rafinha is out, let's say, which could feasibly happen. If Rafinha's out, if I don't know, Stewart gets injured, Dallas, if Bamford's out for another sustained period, I think there's a stark possibility that relegation can happen. 100%. It's all based on injuries for me, mate. I've heard this a lot. Sort of, do you rate Somerville? I've rated him when he came on, mate. Yeah, I'm not saying he's going to be a world beater, but in the development program that we've built up, this guy has been one of the staples. He's been one of the examples of someone who is going to be part of the first team in the future. And I know a lot of people will be like, yeah, but he was never going to get into the first team. I understand that, but Angus Kinnear is telling me that it's going to be blocking. If we sign players, it's going to be blocking players from the youth. So we signed Dan James for 25 million. That's what I don't understand. And there's an argument that Somerville is on Dan James's level. An argument. I'm not saying I believe in that, but there is one there. Yeah. Rohit's in. They have European football. They want to keep him until the end of the season, and maybe they sell him in the summer. This is why the situation is not easy between the clubs. Yeah. I'm not just focusing on them. I'm not just focusing on Aronson there. I understand that. What I don't understand about that deal is from Austrian press, from German press as well. They said that this has been fresh from mid-January. Why is it fresh from mid-January? Why are we just having talks in mid-January? Me and Cage have spoken about this before. Surely they should be talking in December to the targets, i.e. Everton, i.e. Watford, i.e. Villa. Surely they should be talking to the targets in November, December to get it done on January the 1st. And if it's not done on January the 1st, we wait till summer. That's clear. It's just not clear what's happening at the minute. Right, guys, listen, I've been going on for 35 minutes. God, why do I do this? It's only ever meant to be 10. All these notes here, there you go. It's all not needed. But I hope you've enjoyed it anyway. It's a discussion, all right? It's not negativity. It's frustration mainly. And I don't. It's just figuring out what's happening with the club. I hope I'm wrong. Listen, I hope we are able to bring someone in this window. I hope in the summer we're able to bring in certain individuals or whatever it may be. But I just think it's a big task at the minute, and they could have made it so much easier for themselves this window. We'll be back tonight with the debrief, where I'm sure we're going to be going over absolutely everything to do with this. It's going to be a transfer window special as well. So you'll be hearing a lot of what I've spoken about now with lads, the echo chambers that are Brownie and KG having their opinions as well. So make sure you tune in for that, everybody. Have a great day, as always, and I will see you in a bit. Cheers.